Well, I have logged into our new MyBridgePay interface, and we're calling this our UX, our user experience. We've added a new component, which is our dashboard. It is going to be enhanced in various stages, but I am logged in right now as a reseller. So right now I am going to be able to see all of the sales from my organization, and that's just a compilation of all of our transactions. If you look at total sales and refunds, those are the gross sales based on settled batches for a specific time frame. The default is going to be the last 7 days, and then the gross total refunds, and then net sales, and our average sales ticket. And you can use the scroll bar. You can also minimize your screen if you want to kind of zoom out a little bit, but you'll be able to see what types of transactions you've processed as well, whether you've had debit card transactions, credit card, ACH, et cetera. So I'm going to zoom to a 90%. It's a comfort level for me. And you can customize your zoom in your browser just to fit what you want to see on your screen and what's comfortable for you from a viewing standpoint. And also feel free to update your display resolution for your individual device. This will collapse on our navigation menu or expand depending on the type of device you want to view MyBridgePay on. So having said that, as you can see, we've changed a few things. Our navigation menu is now on the left-hand side, and it is collapsible and expandable, again, depending on your preference. You can view this on a tablet or a phone, and as well as your computer or laptop screen. Our categories on the menu are virtual terminal. We have advanced search, find transactions, and then we also have a quick search up here if you're looking for a specific dollar amount. And so if I wanted to just go ahead and type in a dollar amount and then click on advanced search here, it will populate that value. Nope, let me get out of here first. Back to the dashboard. I already had it open, so it didn't update. And then I can change our default date range, which is 7 days, the last 7 days, and do a search. So that's just an updated feature, and we'll get into that more when we are showing some different options you could do with transaction processing from find transactions. We've got recurring billing and batch management, a report menu, and account management. So all of these features have been retained in MyBridgePay, merchant boarding, and the batch management, recurring billing. Everything is the same in terms of the same functionality. The layout is pretty similar. We do have a few enhancements, and one of them is the reason we're here today, which is our new EMV virtual terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Michelle Adams, and she's going to walk you through our new device wizard and EMV virtual terminal.
So I'm going to be showing you what we are excited to offer, and that's the virtual terminal with EMV and MSR capabilities. You can now process transactions via a few credit card devices, and you can also still manually key enter a transaction into the virtual terminal. Before you set up a device or process an EMV transaction in the virtual terminal, be sure to reach out to your account reseller to have the account properly enabled for EMV. The EMV can be enabled at the merchant account level within the boarding portal in the processor settings. That's within the account management module. For example, the account I'm using today is the Paris Bistro Chicago, and if you edit the merchant account, and I just want to show this to you so you know where it is and see how easy it is to do. If I go to the virtual terminal settings for this account, you'll see that there is an option to enable EMV, and it is simply a matter of clicking this on or off to enable and disable. And so that's how simple that is. And then once you go to virtual terminal for that merchant account, now when I click on the credit card payment method, and this is only associated with the credit card payment method, you see a device drop-down box. If you are a current customer, this is something new, you haven't seen this before. but that's what enabling that EMV feature in the account settings did for us. So we have the device drop down and a device manager button. So the first thing I'm going to show today is to set up how to set up an IDTECH Augusta device using the device wizard. And this USB device setup is plug and play. It is very easy to set up, and the network devices are simple to set up as well. I'm going to click on the device manager, and I have add new device is the default selection. I will click next, click the USB connected device, and currently the only option available in the USB device dropdown is the IDTECH Augusta. So I'll select that, and I get a confirmation message that that has been added. Okay, so now when I go back to my device dropdown, I have the IDTECH Augusta that has been added. So I'm going to go ahead and select Sale and process a transaction. And you place the cursor in the card number field, and you'll notice that the expiration date, CVV, and account holder name fields they're grayed out and disabled when I have a device selected, because that information is going to be coming from the device. I am going to simply swipe a card, and you'll see that those fields populate, and the card number field populates with the MasterCard number, and I will process that transaction. And here's my receipt. You'll see that the entry method is swiped because I swiped it on my IDTECH Augusta, if you heard the beep there a moment ago. And from the transaction, I can print, email, download, and vault. For example, if I click on download, it downloads a PDF form of the receipt. I can also print, I can email the receipt, and there are multiple options here that are similar to the Kendo options. I'm going to send it to Lisa, I'm actually logged in as. You can add multiple recipients here, and you can also type in a customized text. And that will send an email receipt to myself with the receipt attached. Now, so I can also, if my merchant account is set up for recurring billing, I can vault payment methods to a wallet to be used for transactions later. And so, for example, I'm going to take this payment method that I just used, that I just swiped on my Augusta device, and I'm going to enter the customer account information. And I apologize, this is a test system. It's a little slow right now, but I will enter the required fields are that you enter a customer account name, an address for the wallet, and also the zip code and an email. And you want to enter the email so that you can send email notifications on these payment methods to the customer. And let's just wait a moment for this to come up. And after I finish demonstrating this, we'll set up a PAX device. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this customer account.
If you know that you're going to store customer information in the recurring billing module as either a new customer or just adding a payment method. If you're adding a new customer, you can populate on the virtual terminal payment screen the street address and the zip code, and it'll pre-populate here on the new customer account form. Otherwise, you can just select a customer from the list and update the payment information in the wallet.
So this will now go to recurring billing, and it is creating a customer account and a payment method associated with it. So at some point later on, I can go to recurring billing to the virtual terminal and process a payment using that stored payment method. So I'm going to close out of this receipt. And then, as I mentioned before, it's also very easy to set up network devices. So I am going to go ahead and do that right now. You see I already have one set up. I will set up an additional device. So I'm going to add the device. This time select the network connected device. And you enter a name for that device here. And you can name it how you wish. I'm just going to call it, I'm setting up my PAX A-60. I'm just going to call it A-60 Register 2. And then it gives you a pairing code. So now I am going to go into my device and enter that. I'm going to select Pair Terminal and enter that code in here, 04289. And you see immediately it comes back and says my device has been added. And so that's how easy it is to set up a network device. So now, and it takes a minute for once you add and pair the device, it does take a couple minutes to show up in the drop-down, and I'll show you that in a moment. But right now, I'll select the one I have set up there for the sake of time, and I am going to enter a transaction. And this one just appears slightly different from the IDTECH Augusta in that the card number field is also grayed out, and I don't have to place my cursor in there. I am going to go ahead and process this transaction. You hear the ding, that my device is prompting me for the card. I'm going to insert it. It's processing. I'll remove it. You heard the prompt to remove the card, and then I get my transaction receipt. Very quick. And then what is slightly different about this receipt is you will see that the entry method says chip. It has the AID and the CVM on here, which was signature. And then the same options are available on this receipt as on all the others. And once again, the vault only appears if your merchant account is set up for recurring billing with a wallet site ID. So I'm going to close that. So I've demonstrated how to set up both the USB and network connected devices and process transactions, and you saw the example receipts on each of those. Lisa, is there anything else you want me to show?
Not at this time. I know we have a few questions. Just very quickly, I'll try and answer them before we move on to the next section. So one of the questions is, can a default message be set up for the email field? Not at this time, but we hope to have a configuration in the future. It's on our roadmap. I don't have a timeline for that. But there are definite customizations that we can make to this new user interface. That, and we're really excited about all the possibilities that we were limited to with our old interface. So the other question here is the pairing for the network devices. Is that done through PayGuardian? This does not require you to install PayGuardian on your local machine. For the PAX itself, when you get the devices, there is on our portal, on our integrator portal, we do have instructions on the applications that you'll need to download onto the device. And as a reseller or perhaps through the distribution company that you're using for your devices, they may be able to install some of the software like the PAX BroadPause application. I'm not exactly sure who's doing what, but you will have access to those applications. They just take minutes to install on the PAX device. And once that's done, there's no configuration. It's just installing the software and the device is pretty much ready to go. And then as you can see from the device wizard here, it's very easy to add a device and begin processing through the EMV virtual terminal. Hopefully that answers your question, but feel free to send more questions in as we go along, and I'll try and answer them.
And just real quick, something I did forget to mention is that you do not have to select your device each time. It will remember your last selected device. I just wanted to mention that.
Okay. So like I said, we do have a few enhancements on the reports. They're minor. We are going to continue to enhance our application, but as for now, we've added in these same filter options are available, of course, but we've added in a few features here on search capabilities. If you look at the three dots here, this is pretty similar to what we had in the current version of MyBridgePay, although it does have a little filter icon, and we're going to further enhance this so that eventually you'll be able to do direct searches and controls right in this little field area. But for now, you're able to go into the columns, and now you can hide columns that you do not want to display. So for instance, if you don't process tip transactions, or you don't process a PO number, you're not processing level 2, you don't use that field or the memo field, you can certainly uncheck these to not display. And you can, of course, always change the sort order. So this is just a nice little feature. And then normal filter options on existing columns that you can do in Kendo today in our current user interface. And that is, where you can do search by, like for instance, if you wanted to look at, we're on the source. So if I wanted to just look at chip bread, I could do that. And instead of doing is equal to, I'll just do contains, and then I'll filter. And then I'll just see the transactions that are chip read for my time frame. So those are just some of the quick features that you can see. As far as exporting the reports, we've updated the format slightly, but so that they're a lot prettier than they used to be especially on the PDF report. Just bring this up. So here's your transaction list report, and it will be sorted by whichever drill down method you've chosen. So from here, I have Paris Bistro Chicago selected in my hierarchy select list. So I'll show you how you can change the view very quickly, and you can play with this. This is available in UAT today. So we have an account selector, and we're going to be enhancing this as well. But you click on the account selector, and since I'm logged in as a reseller partner, I can, right now I'm selected at Paris Bistro as my merchant group. And then my merchant account is Paris Bistro Chicago. If I wanted to run a report at the merchant group level, I'm just going to uncheck Paris Bistro Chicago, leave Paris Bistro, the merchant group selected, and then I can go back in and run my report. The difference here now, of course, is with batch management, I don't have a merchant account selected, so I'm not going to be able to see individual batches. So none of that has changed. If you are a current user of MyBridgePay, you know that at the merchant account level, will have to be selected in order to process batch management transactions or recurring billing transactions. But reporting is different. You can report at your reseller level, at merchant group, at a merchant account level, and at our sales agent level. You can include all of your hierarchy in the reports. It may take longer to run, but you'll get the data. Having said that, I'm going to pass this over to Glenn.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select back the Paris Bistro Chicago account. And then I'm going to go into the batch management to run a few transactions. From this screen on the unsettled batches, we can go ahead and actually perform a void transactions from here. And in this case, I'd like to go ahead and void out this transaction. And all you have to do is just select the garbage can here, and it will be the void transaction. You click on that, it will highlight it. And then in order to confirm this as a void, I can go ahead and just hit Save Changes. And then it gives you the confirm. I'll go ahead and click yes on that. And once the transaction is voided and confirmed, it'll give you a lock. So this way that you can't undo the changes or the void on this transaction. And then from the batch management module, I'm also able to go ahead and capture any transactions that were authorized to begin with. So in this case, if I wanted to capture all these auth transactions that are still open, I can certainly do so by clicking Capture All and then click Save Capture. But in this case, I just want to go ahead and just capture one of these transactions, and it's going to be this one here. I can certainly change the amount if I wanted to. In this case, I just leave it as is and just hit Capture. And now I'll be able to capture this one single authorization. And then I go ahead and approve for settlement. I hit yes to confirm. And once I've captured that transaction, the authorization status is now changed from open to confirmed.
The captured transactions, the ones that are not captured, as you can see, we have several that are still open. If you settle your batch right now, the uncaptured transactions, depending on whether or not you have the settlement delay enabled, they will carry over to the next open batch. So for instance, the default is to not carry over. So any transaction that is not captured as an auth-only transaction that is not captured and confirmed, that will actually auto-reverse when the batch is settled. If you have it on a settled delay, what will happen is you have up from 0 to 30 days in MyBridgePay and the virtual terminal to capture, or batch management to, you can set the settings up for any time in that time frame. On the virtual terminal payment screen, if you have the settlement delay enabled, you can override the setting. So let's say that you have it set for 3 days, and if you don't confirm or capture an open auth transaction, it's going to auto-reverse after 3 days. Now that's given, it's really by batch period. So most merchants will batch out daily, but you have to also look at the timing of the batch settlement. So if you have a merchant that batches out multiple times a day, you'll want to make sure that you have that information before you use the settlement delay, because it does matter on the auto reverse for open auth transactions. And if anybody has any additional questions on that, they can certainly reach out. I just want to make sure that it's daily if your merchant batches daily. We do have merchants that are seasonal. They might only batch out, a few times a week or once a week. And for a merchant that processes that way, their open batch in terms of the uncaptured authorization it's going to carry over to the next settlement period. So if it's 1 week, then their batch isn't going to, the transaction will not auto-reverse in the gateway until that next batch period. So just something to consider during setup and merchant boarding. Otherwise, go ahead, Glenn, if you want to move on to the find transactions in the advanced search.
Sure. The other feature we can go and run a transaction from is from the advanced search function here. Obviously, we can, if you knew the card that you want to search for, you can certainly add that, or any of the cardholder name, a particular transaction ID. In this case, I don't have anything particular. I just want to go ahead and search a transaction I want to go ahead and do a repeat sale on. So I go ahead and leave the date. This is going to be a 7-day grace period here. So it'll give you 7 days. I hit search, and then it'll pull up all the transactions within that 7-day period. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and select a transaction I want to go ahead and do a repeat sale on. From here, what you can do is you can select, I'll go ahead and select this transaction, this repeat transaction icon. I go ahead and click on that. It'll take me back to the virtual terminal screen. As you can see, I can change the amount if I wanted to. In this case, I'll leave it as is, and all the credit card information has already been populated for us. So once I've confirmed the transaction and the amount I want to go in and make a payment on, I'll go in and hit process. And again, so you'll get your transaction receipt. Again, you have your options of printing a receipt, emailing it, downloading it, and then if you wanted to vault this, we can certainly do so. In this case, I'll just go ahead and close it. And one last transaction I'd like to run, and it's also from the advanced search, is a refund. So again, I'll go ahead and clear out my dates here, filter. And now again, if you knew a card number that you want to go ahead and run, you can certainly add that and all the other criteria here. In this case, I'll leave it blank. I'll go ahead and do a search for 9/15 through the 22nd. And I'm going to go ahead and do a refund. on this transaction here, and all I have to do is click on the refund icon. And again, it'll take me to the virtual terminal payment screen. And again, I can change the amount of the refund if I wanted to. I can do a partial refund. Actually, the remaining amount left is $598 because apparently we've processed some partial refunds already. So I'll go ahead and actually refund the remaining amount. The credit card information is populated for you already, and I'll just hit process. And then I'll confirm the amount. And then you got your transaction receipt.